USS Mississippi, a paddle frigate, was the first ship of the United States Navy to bear that name. She was named for the Mississippi River. Her sister ship was Missouri. Her keel was laid down by the Philadelphia Navy Yard in 1839, built under the personal supervision of Commodore Matthew Perry. She was commissioned on the 22nd of December 1841, with Captain W. D. Salter in command, and launched several weeks later. Service history: Mexican-American War. After several years of service in the Home Squadron, during which she performed experiments crucial to development of the steam navy, Mississippi joined the West Indian Squadron in 1845 as flagship for Commodore Perry. During the Mexican-American War, she took part in expeditions against Alvarado, Tampico, Panico, and Laguna de Taminos, all successful in tightening American control of the Mexican coastline and interrupting coastwise commerce and military supply operations. She returned to Norfolk for repairs on the 1st of January 1847, then arrived at Veracruz on the 21st of March 1847, carrying Perry to take command of the American fleet. At once she and her men plunged into amphibious operations against Veracruz, supplying guns and their crews to be taken ashore for the battery, which fought the city to surrender in 4 days. Through the remainder of the war, Mississippi contributed guns, men, and boats to a series of coastal raids on Mexico's east coast, taking part in the capture of Tabasco in June 1847. Mission to Japan: Mississippi cruised the Mediterranean Sea during 1849 to 1851, picking up Louis Kossuth on his way into exile, before returning to the United States to prepare for service as the flagship of Commodore Perry's expedition to Japan. The squadron cleared Hampton Roads on the 24th of November 1852, for Madeira, the Cape of Good Hope, Hong Kong, and Shanghai, which was reached the 4th of May 1853. The squadron now approached Japan by calls in the Ryukyu Islands and Bonin Islands, and entered Edo Bay on the 8th of July 1853, remaining until the Japanese accepted an official letter by President Millard Fillmore on the 14th of July. After further cruising in the Far East Mississippi, and the squadron returned to Japan on the 12th of February 1854, remaining as part of Perry's show force until the signing of the Convention of Conagua on the 31st of March. Mississippi returned to New York City on the 23rd of April 1855, and again sailed for the Far East on the 19th of August 1857, to base at Shanghai and patrol in support of America's burgeoning trade with the Orient. As the flagship for Commodore Josiah Tattnall, she was present during the British and French attack on the Chinese forts at Taku in June 1859, and 2 months later, she landed a force at Shanghai when the American consul requested her aid in restoring order to the city, torn by civil strife. She returned to ordinary at Boston, Massachusetts, in 1860, but was reactivated when the American Civil War became inevitable. Civil War: Mississippi arrived off Key West, Florida, to institute a blockade there on the 8th of June 1861, and 5 days later made her first capture, the schooner Forest King, bound with coffee from Rio de Janeiro to New Orleans, Louisiana. On the 27th of November 1861, off northeast pass of the Mississippi River, she joined Vincennes in capturing the British bark Empress, again carrying coffee from Rio to New Orleans. The following spring, she joined Farragut's squadron for the planned assault on New Orleans. After several attempts, on the 7th of April 1862, she and Pensacola successfully passed over the bar at Southwest Pass, the heaviest ships ever to enter the river to the time. As Farragut brought his fleet up the river, a key engagement was that with Fort Jackson and Fort St. Philip on the 24th of April 1862. 1862, during which Mississippi ran the Confederate ram Manassas ashore, wrecking her with 2 mighty broadsides. One of her sailors, Seaman Christopher Brennan, was awarded the Medal of Honor for his part in the battle. The city was now doomed, and Mississippi, her heavy draft making her less suitable to river operations than lighter ships, remained off New Orleans for much of the next year. Ordered upriver for the operations against Port Hudson, Louisiana, Mississippi sailed with 6 other ships lashed in pairs, while she sailed alone. On the 14th of March 1863, she grounded while attempting to pass the forts guarding Port Hudson. Under enemy fire, every effort was made to refloat her by Captain Mellington Smith and his executive officer George Dewey. At last, her machinery was destroyed, her battery spiked, and she was fired to prevent Confederate capture. When the flames reached her magazines, she blew up and sank. 3 of Mississippi's men, Seaman Andrew Bryn, boatswain's mate Peter Howard, and U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Pinkerton R. Vaughan, were awarded the Medal of Honor for their actions during the abandonment. She lost 64 men, with the accompanying ships saving 223 of her crew.